Hey, this is Brian Russell, walking and talking spirituality. I'm purposely shooting out towards the horizon because I want to illustrate a key principle for spiritual formation. By the way, I'm out at Sarasota area at Lido Beach this weekend, and you can just see how the water is crystal clear. And I want to illustrate what Dan Sullivan calls the difference between the gap and the gain in our lives. And now he uses it to talk about big goals for entrepreneurs, but for us who are interested in growing in grace, God calls us to become more and more like Jesus. And when we think about that, we think of Jesus as being perfect and God calling us into ever deeper levels of love for God, for neighbor, and for self. Pursuing that goal, growing in grace, in some ways it's kind of like walking towards the horizon. As you notice, the horizon doesn't look any closer than when I first started filming. And when we think about our growth in terms of how far we still have to go, it's easy to get frustrated sometimes or even feel like we're not getting anywhere because it looks like the gap from where we are today to where we want to be never closes. But that's how it's supposed to be in life. Because when we're trying to grow in God's love, I think that's an all eternity perspective. And so the way to actually think about this isn't so much of how far we still have to go, because if we're talking about growing in love, that's our life for all eternity. The only way to get a handle on this, and this is where Sullivan can be so helpful for us, even as spiritual leaders, is you don't look at how far you have to go to reach perfection in love. What you have to do from time to time is you have to turn around and see how far you've actually come, and that's the gain. Kierkegaard says you can only live life going forward, but you can only understand it looking backwards. And so friends, as we're growing in grace, remember the difference between the gap to the perfection that we're walking towards. That's an all eternity journey. And then take time to measure the gain by looking back once in a while and seeing how far you've come. That's where gratitude comes in. That's where at the end of every day, recording your wins, what you've learned, where you've seen God working. But that's the principle of the gap and the gain. And I'll tell you what, that can change your life. So set huge goals like you're chasing the horizon. But then give yourself the kindness, the grace to turn around and see how far you've come. And if you have any questions, love to have a spiritual conversation with you. Obviously this weekend I'm going to be a little busy. But reach out to me at Deep Dive Spirituality. Until next time, live by faith, be known by love, and be a voice of hope to others.